this week, the biggest game of the week, number 2 Ohio State is going into Oregon. Ohio State is favored by 3.5 of the over under of 53.
Oh my God. And Eddie
This is
predicted
the
this game
one.
early. Eddie thought Oregon would win this game early. I'd like to know what you still think, Mr. Ed.
This is the one game that I watched live. I watched Ohio State and Iowa, and I'm gonna stick to my pick. Just like Michigan went into an old Pac-12 stadium, I like Oregon here. If you look at Ohio State's quality of opponents, I think they're going to be in shock to have someone with some talent across the other side of the ball from them. Listen, they have talent coming out of everywhere, but I really feel like they have not been tested at all. And to come into what is it, week 4 or 5, and for this to be your first test to see a decent, and don't tell me Iowa's decent, please. Don't bring that shit over here. To run into a very talented Oregon team that now has had a chance to know each other's names. I think they had other than Colorado, the most transfers come in and to gel. I'm gonna go with the Ducks here, man. I'm gonna stick with the Ducks only because Ohio State should have scheduled someone a little bit tougher. I just don't think they have been tested.
You don't think that first half of Iowa was a test?
They didn't score.
Exactly.
Iowa,
It wasn't
yeah.
a test? Were you that third
I
quarter, what of the game? Ohio State's been a second half team this whole season.
listen. I I've watched Iowa too much. They play tough defense, super conservative. They actually that receiver transferred from I forget TCU or something was really nice from Iowa. But I just think it's gonna be a shocker. And and like I said, I think going into Outson, always loud, always tough. And
I
I
don't,
mean,
I don't, I don't, I gotta disagree with you here, Ed. Big time.
I fully disagree with Eddie on this one.
okay,
Ed,
of
like if we're
course.
well, no. If we're looking at, if we're looking, if you're talking about just strength of schedule, right? So when the season started, before the season, if we look at their schedule before the season started, the only one that played a team so far that was ranked to start the year on the schedule was Iowa. Iowa was ranked 25. Ohio State just beat Iowa. By the way, Iowa was at home, up whatever it was, 10-0, 13-0 against Iowa State, who's now ranked in the top 12, and lost to them by 1. So let's not just throw away Iowa. And these guys beat Boise, barely beat Boise by 3 at home. Boise's now ranked,
Come on
but
now. Come on
that
now. Are
Boise's
we not
now
giving
ranked.
Boise State any credit? We all know what Boise State is now. They have fucking Barry Sanders, reincarnated 1987 Barry Sanders on the fucking team. And no one wants to give. Oh, Oregon hasn't played anyone. We didn't think Boise State was anyone. Now we know what this dude is and what Boise State is.
Man, I don't know. I cannot discredit Ohio State just because of the opponents they faced. Like they face whoever's on their schedule. You very well know that this schedule, the non-conference games, have been scheduled for a handful of years now. So I mean, Iowa isn't it in the cakewalk?
Oregon, I mean, they
I'm
played
not just. Go ahead.
they played Boise State, Oregon State, which you knew that team doesn't even really count, UCLA, which never counts, and Michigan State. And
Yeah,
Ohio State just played Michigan State too.
yeah. But the difference is Ohio State's coming to Oregon. I think this is a totally different thing if it's the other way around. Listen, I'm not discrediting Ohio State and saying you play who you play. You play in front of your schedule. I'm just saying they haven't been tested yet. I don't think last week was a test. And if it was, I mean, they came out in the second half and blew the doors off of Iowa. But that's what they were supposed to do in the first half of the game. That's all I'm saying. I'm
And-
saying they
and-
haven't been tested yet.
Oregon hasn't been tested, and they've played tight games against bad teams. They're literally 1-5 against the spread in their last 6 games. They struggled with Idaho. They struggled. They were up big against UCLA and somehow made that game tight towards the end. They Michigan State was 31-10. Like, that's supposed to be a high-powered offense that we've seen for years and years, and it has struggled against bad defenses and bad teams. Like, neither team has impressed. But and then for me, to Oregon, you're going into Oregon. I don't think going into Oregon is like going to the big house or the shoe or
Oh, 100% it is.
I don't think it is.
100% it is.
I've never felt like when I see it's like, I'm going into the Rose Bowl or the Coliseum. I've never felt that for any Pac-12 team. Like, oh shit, we're going into this place. We got to be careful. Never felt it. Like,
back in the day when SC was good in the Pete Carroll, going into Oregon was fucking tough. It's always tough. And I totally feel that way. And like I said before we got into it, I think this is a team that needed to gel, needed to start playing together. The guys didn't know each other. I think, listen, I love Dan Lanning. I think he's a good coach. I really do.
that's why I disagree. I don't like him.
I am not going to get off that train yet. I'm not willing to get off that train yet. I like him as a coach.
I think he
And
struggles
teams
in
get
big
better.
games. I think he struggles in big games. He showed you last year at Washington. He fucking was completely outcoached by DeBoer. Completely outcoached in that game, a game that they should have won. And they were completely outcoached. And what about in that title game? He was outcoached too. He's not a big game coach. Win me a big game, Dan Lanning. And this week
Well,
ain't the week. The Buckeyes are gonna come
here's your chance.
in.
Here's your chance.
And
Dan.
I'm not a Ryan Day fan either. But Dan Lanning.
Yeah, it's about winning big games.
Oh yeah, no. But hey, he beat.
He doesn't have the best record in winning big games.
He's at least gotten to the fucking playoff. So, but I like Ohio State, man. Eddie Money, you like? What do you think?
I love Ohio State. Especially since me and Eddie already have an ongoing bet of Oregon versus Ohio State. We're both doubling down on our teams here.
Oh, dude, and this game's gonna be so good in that 4:30 window.
You watch, man. It's gonna be like the NCAA. Shit's gonna be shaking in Austin, man. I'm telling you, Austin is a thing. It is a thing.
The under, by the way, is such a low number for a team, for these two teams that are supposedly able to score the football, and it just shows you how bad their execution has been on offense for both teams. I mean, neither team has put together a complete game from start to finish, and Vegas is expecting this one to not be pretty much the same shit.